What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Kansas City. We have Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video this week, breaking down a very good card here in UFC Kansas City, a 14-fight card. Not my favorite card from a betting perspective, especially a lot of these prelims, a lot of sketchy fights, but I really like the main card. I really like the main card from a betting perspective, and the majority of my bets are going to come on that main card. But yeah, looking forward to talking about it all. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you do not already. Do appreciate all the support week in and week out. As always, going to be going through these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you want a further, more in-depth breakdown, I did post a full card breakdown on Tuesday. Also went live on Friday, going more in-depth on these fights. And yeah, other than that, going live 1 hour prior to the prelims for Best Bet. We got Addicted to Combat Patrick, we got myself, we got Lou Betcha on there. Should be a good show. Kicking it off 1 hour prior to the prelims around 4:15 Eastern time. I do want to shout out the winner. We did a contest last week. We did the parlay contest that I like doing for these pay-per-views, and nobody hit a parlay outside of Robin. He hit a one-legger because the other leg voided. He had Pfeiffer round 1 parlayed with Williams round 2. The Williams leg voids. Pfeiffer knocks out Mearshart in round 1. Robin wins due to that. So yeah, shout out to you, Robin. You're the only person that won the parlay. I'll be running it back for UFC 289, and maybe we can have a good hit there. But last time we did it for UFC 280. Was it 87? UFC 287. Somebody had like an 8-legger or something like that. But yeah, it looks like a lot of people had Raul Rosas Jr. A lot of people had Amareem. A lot of big upsets last week. So yeah, congrats to Robin, though. I was able to get him his winnings there. Shout out to him. All right, guys, let's get into this week, though. We're going to start with the first fight on the card. And we have Lucy Pudilova going against Jocelyn Edwards. I mean, there's a couple fights on this card where I just want to stay far, far away, just as far away as possible, and this is one of them. All signs point towards Lucy Pudilova going out there and implementing that wrestling. If that's your read, I get it. It makes sense. It's just how many times do we expect, these lower-level fighters to go out there, implement the game plan you think they're going to implement, and then not go to it at all? The reason I can't get to Pudilova here is because, yes, she wrestled in her last fight against Yanan Wu. It's just you take a look at every other fight in the UFC, and she didn't wrestle at all. I think she had one takedown in the UFC outside that Wu Yanan fight. She is young, though, so maybe she's making improvements, and if she does come in here with the right game plan, I think she wins. It's just I can't trust her to do that. Big pass, nothing sticking out. I would not bet on this fight if I were you guys, but a lot of people seem to be. Yeah, pass. I'm very happy with passing on this one. Gaston Bolaños going against Aaron Phillips. Just another mess of a fight, another low-level fight. We got Gaston Bolaños. The guy's 5-3, making his debut. Very, very good striker, striking background, Muay Thai background, I believe a kickboxing background as well. Really good striker. It's just he has a atrocious ground game. With that said, though, it looks like he's doing some work at AKA, trying to round out that game as a whole. He's taken about a year off as well, so maybe he comes back. He's worked on that ground game, and it's much better. The takedown defense does look solid, though, so yeah, if he's able to keep this upright, I think he's the better striker here. He's very dangerous, 100% finish rate for Gaston Bolaños. Aaron Phillips, we haven't seen him in 3 years. I'm not sure what he's been doing. Well, I know what he's been doing. He's a coach at his own gym, so maybe he's focusing a lot on that. But yeah, coming back 3 years later, I don't like that. When he was in the UFC, he hasn't been successful. He's 0-3 thus far. So it's just really hard to bet either side here. I like what I see from Bolaños in terms of that striking. It's just if the fight hits the mat, I have some serious concerns just due to the fact that Aaron Phillips is a black belt. A prop that I was going to be looking at this week was Aaron Phillips by submission, and that currently sits at plus 600, and that's not good enough. It actually opened up plus 1,400, which I wish I would have gotten on that, but it just got crushed, and it's continuing to get crushed. So people are kind of seeing what I'm seeing. If this fight hits the mat, Aaron Phillips is going to have an opportunity to get the finish by submission due to the fact that Bolaños has been subbed twice, but I'm not betting it plus 600. At this point, it's a pass, but if you got in on the early Aaron Phillips subs, I don't hate that, and I would avoid this fight as best as possible. Just another weird fight that I want to stay away from. Next, we got Bruna Brazil going against Denise Gomes. We have Brazil. She is minus 140. Denise, she is plus 120. Yeah, money's been pouring in on Denise. She's currently sitting at plus 120. She was like plus 200 or something. And I get it just due to the fact that these WMMA favorites have been dropping the ball as of late. So I get it in that aspect, but I'm not really sure what Denise is good at outside of being very tough, having solid cardio. I don't think she's the best striker. I think she has terrible striking defense. I think her grappling's okay, but she has no wrestling. I just feel like it's a fight where Brazil keeps this fight standing and outpoints her way to a pretty easy decision. But yeah, this line's moved a lot to the point where, if anything, it's a bet on Brazil at this point. But even then, I'm not running to the window to bet it. So yeah, the pick's Brazil. If you got in on Denise at like plus 200, you did your job. And this could be potentially competitive, but I do like Brazil in this matchup, but not enough to lay any money on her. Moving on, we got Daniel Zellhuber going against Orlando Vanata. We got Zellhuber around minus 130, Vanata plus 110. I think it's a solid buy low spot on Zellhuber, I mean, and I almost pulled the trigger at minus 115, laid off a little bit. I kind of thought maybe more money would come in on Vanata, just because people are so low on Zellhuber. A lot of people think Zellhuber sucks, and because he lost to Trey Ogden, and you know, I went and watched every other Zellhuber fight, and I was really impressed, obviously outside of that Ogden fight. So I think this is a good bounce back spot for Zellhuber. He's going to be much bigger. He's going to be much younger as well. It's just I can't fully trust him yet, and I think that's why we're getting him at this price tag. Nothing for me here. Like I said, I was very close to pulling the trigger on that minus 115. I waited, and now it's minus 130 to minus 135. At that point, I think I'm okay with just passing because I still think it could be pretty competitive here. But I do like the age of Zellhuber, much younger. I do like the height, the reach, and I think he will win this fight, but I think it's going to be somewhat competitive. So, yeah, for me, as of now, it's going to be a pass, but if more money keeps coming in on Vanata late and I can get Zellhuber at that minus 110, minus 115, I'll probably jump on then. But at this point, minus 130, minus 135, I think that's fair there. Slight favorite, Zellhuber makes a lot of sense to me. And I get why people don't want to trust him after the Ogden fight. It's unforgivable, but we see a lot of these fighters make their debuts at times and look horrible and then just come back and look really good. I think that could be the case here. But yeah, no bet for me on this one. Next, we got Jillian Robertson going against Pierre Rodriguez. Yeah, we got a line flip here. Jillian Robertson last week or like a week and a half ago, she's like plus 140. I wish I would have taped it then because, yes, I would have been on that Jillian Robertson plus money. Now she's a favorite, and she's currently sitting at minus 125. At that point, you know, I think it's probably a dog or pass. I think plus money is the way to go either way. I'm not betting on this fight. If you got it on Jillian Robertson at plus money, you did your job. At this point, I got to go Rodriguez just because I think this fight's going to be very close. We got Robertson coming down a weight class here. I think Robertson is going to obviously be the better grappler. She's a black belt in BJJ. I think the better striker is going to be Rodriguez just because everybody's going to have a striking advantage against Jillian Robertson. I can see this fight playing out competitive. The pick's Rodriguez, but no confidence in that, and it's going to be another pass fight for me. Like I said, guys, I'm passing on a lot of these prelims, like low-level fights, fighters I just don't want to trust, and fights I just don't want to bet on. So yeah, passing a lot here, but we'll get to the bets very soon. Don't worry. Bankroll management is key. Bankroll management is key, and that's definitely the case in this fight. I mean, this is the 1-800-gambler matchup of the week. We have Zach Cummings versus Ed Herman. I mean, how can anybody bet on this fight? I mean, there's red flag after red flag after red flag. Zach Cummings coming off of like a 3-year layoff, coming off of like a serious surgery. He's talking about retirement. He's coming up a weight class. He looked awful at the weigh-ins. Has he even been training? It doesn't look like it. Ed Herman, he's 42 years old. If Zach Cummings was fighting anybody else on the roster besides Ed Herman, I would be betting against Zach Cummings here. But the fact of the matter is he's fighting a 42-year-old Ed Herman. It all comes down to who's more washed. And that's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. But at least the last of Zach Cummings we did see against Alessio Di Chirico, if that version shows up or anywhere near that version shows up, he beats Ed Herman with flying colors. But again, that was 3 years ago. So if you bet on this fight, I don't know what to tell you, especially laying chalk on Zach Cummings. Nothing sticking out here. I'm not betting this fight. I wouldn't even think about betting this fight. There are 13 other fights on this card that you can bet on. This probably isn't one of them. If I was forced to bet this fight, it would have to be at Herman, just because Zach Cummings, at this point of his career, should not be minus 225 against anybody. But again, I don't want to lay money on Ed Herman. So it's a big pass, big stay away. Should be a hilarious fight, potentially, but outside of that, I have no interest in it. Moving on. Next we get to the bets here. So we got Matheus Nicolau going against Brandon Royval. This is my first bet of the week. I have the under 2.5 rounds here at plus 100. I have a half a unit on it, and that's because this is a Brandon Royval fight. Royval has been under 2.5 rounds in all but one of his UFC fights thus far. And yeah, it's a kind of a clash of styles here where Matheus Nicolau is a guy that likes to take his time. He likes to kind of pick you apart, land that big shot. And Brandon Royval's a complete madman who wants to get after you. He wants to eat one to give one. The guy will get dropped. He'll get right back up, and then he'll drop you and finish you. This is going to be an all-out war, I think. And it's going to be interesting seeing how Nicolau deals with that all-out war, that brawling style of Brandon Royval. Is he going to thrive in the chaos, or is he going to potentially crumble? We'll have to see, but I do think somebody gets finished here because Brandon Royval is going to leave a lot of openings to get hit, get knocked out, get hurt, and then on the flip side, he's going to go out there and try to take Nicolau's head off as well. So I like under here. I think Nicolau's the much better fighter in this matchup. It's just, I'm really curious to see how he deals with Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval, he's a guy that's really hard to prepare for because there's not a lot of guys out there in the UFC like him. He's kind of one-of-a-kind guy who just fights like a complete madman, and he thrives doing so. So one of the best fights on the card, in my opinion, if not the best fight on the card, and it's on the prelims, but give me the under here, half a unit, plus 100, my first bet of the night. Moving on, we got Bill Algeo going against TJ Brown, and I, like a lot of people, I'm on the Bill Algeo money line here. Got it a little late, minus 165. I have 1.5 units on that, just because after taping the fight, I really think it's a good matchup for Algeo. At first, I was like, man, on paper, Bill Algeo, like a terrible takedown defense. TJ Brown should go out there and wrestle him. But after getting into the tape, you know, Bill Algeo, yes, he has bad takedown defense, but he has an elite get-up game. He can be taken down, but he can get back up right away. And I think that style is going to give TJ Brown problems, so we have seen gassed out in the past. So yes, I see TJ Brown probably going out there taking down Algeo, but if he does take him down, Algeo is going to pop right back up. And then we also see TJ Brown make mistakes on the mat in pretty much every fight. I mean, this guy has questionable fight IQ. He's going out there, he's getting reversed, he's submission over position, he's losing positions, and I think that's going to be the case against the black belt here in Bill Algeo. And then on the feet, it's Algeo here, just due to the fact that he's much bigger, he's longer, and he has much more volume, better cardio. I think it's a good spot for Algeo. Honestly, probably a better live bet situation because I see TJ Brown probably having some success in the first round, but I got on him pre-flop, minus 165 for 1.5 units there. Moving on, we got Rafa Garcia going against Clay Guida, and I have another money line bet here. I have 2 units on Rafa Garcia at minus 220. Beat a little bit of a line movement there, and then I also have a half a unit on Rafa Garcia to win this fight inside the distance at plus 250. And yeah, I think it's a good matchup for Rafa Garcia. I think these guys are both very similar. The big difference is Rafa Garcia is like 12 to 13 years younger than Clay Guida. Rafa Garcia is, coming into his prime, whereas Clay Guida is well past his prime. Looked really bad in his last couple performances, and I think Rafa Garcia is going to be the better striker here, and I don't think Rafa Garcia is the best striker in the world, but he's going to be the better striker in this matchup. He's going to be throwing higher volume, he's going to be hitting harder, and then I also think that if there's success in terms of the grappling, it's going to be coming from the Rafa Garcia side. I think both guys can get takedowns, but I think if Rafa gets those takedowns, he's going to be either able either to get control or potentially even find a submission. I think the submission's very live here for Rafa Garcia as well. Rafa Garcia, the cardio has always been a concern for him, but he has moved to team or Elevation Fight Team. I don't know when. I think it was a couple fights ago, and you can kind of see his cardio looking better and better each fight. He's getting better and better each fight, whereas Clay Guida, he's obviously not going to improve at 41, 42 years old. So I like Rafael Garcia to go out there, not only get the win, but I think he has a good chance to finish Clay Guida, whether it's a club and sub, whether it's a submission where Clay Guida shoots in for a takedown, gets his neck snatched up. We've seen it time and time again. Clay Guida's been submitted a combined like 11 times in his career. So I like Garcia here quite a bit. And yeah, as long as Rafa Garcia's cardio holds up, I think he's fine here. So give me Garcia for the win, money line, and inside the distance. Next, we have Chris Gutierrez going against Pedro Munoz. Yeah, nothing here. I think the line's about right. It's just a matchup where if Munoz would wrestle, I'd probably even outright pick him here. It's just he doesn't do it, and I'm not really expecting the Munoz to go out there and become a wrestler all of a sudden at 35, 36 years old. So, yeah, I think these guys are going to strike for 15 minutes, and at that point, Gutierrez is the better striker. He's much better defensively. He has much more tools on the feet. It should be a Chris Gutierrez decision win here. If anything, it would be Chris Gutierrez by decision. It is plus money, but nothing I'm really running to the window for. The pick is Gutierrez, but nothing really sticking out on this one. Next, we have Ian Cutelaba versus Tanner Bozer. Just another mess of a fight. I mean, I could see this fight going so many different ways. I could see Cutelaba going out there, smashing Bozer in the first round. I could see Cutelaba going out there, taking down Bozer across 3 rounds and winning a decision. I could see Cutelaba gassing out after the first round and getting finished in the second or third by Bozer. It's just Ian Cutelaba is a wild card who has bad fight IQ. He has bad cardio, and I could see a scenario where he looks incredible in the first round and then has nothing left in the second and third. And that's why I can't get to a Ian Cutelaba bet here. I don't like what I see from Tanner Bozer's takedown defense. Tanner Bozer has absolutely no get-up game. So, yes, it's a great matchup for Cutelaba. It's just, if this fight does reach the second round, I'm going to be terrified holding a Cutelaba ticket. So, it's a pass fight for me. The pick's Cutelaba, but I just don't trust him enough to lay chalk on him here. He was a dog, actually, last week. I wouldn't have hated that. He was, what was he, +1... like 40 at one point? My goodness, yeah, I wouldn't have hated that, but laying chalk on Ian Cutelaba is not really something I want to do this week, so it's going to be a pass for me. 3 fights left. You got Dustin Jacoby going against Azamat Murzakanov. I like Jacoby here for a multitude of reasons. Jacoby is going to be the more experienced guy. Jacoby's going to be the bigger guy. He has like a 5-inch height advantage, 5 to 7-inch reach advantage. Some, I think Sherdog says like 5, Tapology says 7. Who knows? But regardless, Jacoby's going to be much, much bigger. We saw that at the weigh-ins as well. Jacoby's going to be having much more volume as well. I think for Azamat to win this fight, he's going to have to knock out Jacoby, and I think that's going to be easier said than done considering Jacoby's been knocked out once in like his entire career, actually. And the last time he was knocked out, I think, was back in 2014, so a long, long time ago. So yeah, I think Azamat's kind of KO or bust here. If you do like Azamat, you probably like him by KO. It's just I don't see him winning minutes against Dustin Jacoby, who's going to be throwing much, much, much more output than Azamat Murzakanov. So I put a money line bet on Dustin Jacoby, 1.5 units at -159. It's still around there. A lot of love for Azamat. And like I said, if you like Azamat, you just bet him by KO because he's not going to win minutes here against Dustin Jacoby. Unless this goes to decision and the crooked judges get it wrong again, which that very well could happen. But I like Jacoby to go out there and outpoint Murzakanov 30-27. Maybe 29-28 if Azamat wins that first round. Next, we got Billy Quarantillo going against Edson Barbosa. Interesting fight here. Honestly, probably a better live bet spot for the Billy Quarantillo side. I have some serious concerns about his striking defense sitting around 40%. I don't like that against Edson Barbosa, who hits very hard, who's going to be the better striker. It's just I think Billy's getting Edson at the right time here. 37 years old for Edson Barbosa. He has not looked good his last couple fights. He's getting dropped by Bryce Mitchell. I think Billy can go in here and break him in that second or third round, but he's going to have to walk through fire in the first, and honestly, that's okay. That's what Billy does. He's willing to eat a lot of punches. He's willing to eat a lot of punches with his face, get his opponents tired. His opponents get tired from punching him in the face so much. Billy takes over and finishes in the second and third round, and I think that's what happens here. If you like Edson, I think he's probably live for a first-round knockout just because Billy is going to block punches with his face. But the last time Edson Barbosa got a first-round knockout was, I think, almost 10 years ago. So it's been a while since Barbosa had a first-round knockout. I like Billy Quarantillo here, and I did sprinkle the Billy Quarantillo 2 and 3 round props. I have a quarter unit on Billy Quarantillo to win in round 2 plus 600, and then a quarter unit on Billy Quarantillo to win in round 3 plus 1100, and then I'll also be looking at Billy Quarantillo from a live betting perspective as well. Main event time, Max Holloway going against Arnold Allen. I do have a few bets here. First and foremost, I have Max Holloway to win in rounds 4, 5, or decision, 0.75 units, plus 125 FanDuel Sportsbook. And then I also sprinkled the Max Holloway 3, 4, and 5 round props. Quarter unit on all 3, round 3 plus 1,500, round 4 plus 2,000, round 5 plus 2,400. Beat some line movement on those. A lot of people are betting them, and they make sense due to the fact that Arnold Allen's never seen the 4th round. He's never seen the 5th round. And the last time we did see Arnold Allen in the 3rd round against Sadiq Yusuf, he gassed out and only landed 2 significant strikes in that matchup. The more the weeks went on, the more confident I am in Max Holloway, honestly. Like, I think for Allen to win this fight, he's going to have to do one of 2 things, and that's either knock out Max Holloway, who's never even been knocked down, or it's going to have to be outlanding Max Holloway, who has some of the best volume in the division, and Allen's volume has never really been good. So don't really see either of those scenarios happening. I know a lot of people like Allen. He's looked really good as of late, and a lot of people are down on Max Holloway. Just losing to Volkanovski, not looking too good against Yair, but I think Max Holloway shows why he's the 2nd best fighter in the division in this fight, and ultimately ends up getting Allen out of there in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. I think he's really going to put it on him. I think Allen might have some success early, and I don't hate a live bet spot on Max Holloway as well. But yeah, I like Holloway to win this one down the stretch, if not by decision. But yeah, hoping one of those 3, 4, or 5 round props hit. So give me Max Holloway for the dub. And if you like Allen, probably just a money line, but yeah, I don't see him knocking out Holloway. And I don't really see him winning a decision. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, a lot of people are on Allen this week, which I don't know, to be honest. But we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before. Anyway, 3 straight bets. Dustin Jacoby, 1.5 units, minus 159. Rafa Garcia, 2 units, minus 220. Bill Algeo, 1.5 units, minus 165. I got the Mateus Nicolau, Brandon Royval, under 2.5 rounds, half a unit, plus 100. I have Rafa Garcia wins inside the distance, half a unit, plus 250. I have Max Holloway wins in 4, 5, or decision, plus 125. FanDuel Sportsbook, 0.75 units. Holloway round 3, 4, 5 sprinkles, all a quarter unit, plus 1,500, plus 2,000, plus 2,400. And then the Billy Q sprinkles, quarter unit each, plus 600 round 2, plus 1,100 round 3. Not a ton of action this week, and looking to get back to some violence. I mean, the last 2 cards, there's been no violent spots sticking out. Next week, we will get some violence. I promise you that. But this week, lots of decisions, which aren't typically my cards, but I do like some money lines this week, and we'll see what happens. Best of luck, everybody, on your bets. Enjoy the card. Should be a fun one, and we will talk to you guys very soon. See you later.